Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could, and you haven't already, please subscribe. That means a lot to me. Heat and Pelicans coming up Friday night at the Kaseya Center in the midst of Ultra Miami Music Week. We're all going to be, getting our glow sticks and fist bumping, and people will be humping trees, and it's going to be a whole sense of love around it, and especially if the Miami Heat can come out and get themselves a victory. And good news on the front of Duncan Robinson, according to Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald. They hit his scan of his injured back, no significant issues, and apparently that this is that he'll be out tomorrow or out whenever you guys are watching this. I'm doing this right before midnight, so let's call it later on tonight. He'll be out for Friday's game against the Pelicans, but apparently it's not a major issue. And hopefully we'll be back fairly soon. But he's out. Tyler Hero's out. Kevin Love is out. We know Jay Rich is done for the season. And this will be 14 games missed in a row for Tyler. We, of course, are waiting for that reevaluation after getting the injection on his foot. The good news is Bam. Bam did reveal after the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers that which was surprising that he spoke to the media. That's not something that's typical, but I guess with all the injury, first of all, Bam's he's very media friendly, but also, it was interesting that he did find the need to reveal that he is out. He was out for more of a maintenance thing, that he was not out for, lingering issues or things getting worse, but just that they were getting back Jimmy. They were getting back Jovic. They wanted to say they knew that team didn't have their A with Donovan Mitchell out of the game, no Max Strus. So while you knew Jared Allen was going to go out there and feast, you'd kind of deal with what the chips would go with that matchup. So he called it a maintenance game. So you're hopeful that this upcoming game against the Pelicans, you can get the best out of Bam. And let me tell you something. That game against the Pelicans, that performance that Bam Adebayo had in that fourth quarter after Jimmy Butler got the old heave-ho in the melee, one of the best performances Bam has had this year with what he was able to do with Zion Williamson, which is why I'm very, very excited for this matchup. Now, the Pels did not do any favors to the Heat tonight. The Pelicans got crushed by the Orlando Magic. They lose 121-106. Orlando with a big-time third quarter to put this one out of reach for that one. But, there's a couple things that are of note going into this game. One, Brandon Ingram, who did not play in the last game, he left this game with a knee issue. So I would say, odds are that Brandon Ingram's probably not going to play again if this is something that he just suffered. I would say there's pretty safe money that they, unless this was just kind of some kind of a scare. But don't be surprised if Brandon Ingram doesn't go for the Pelicans in this one, who have been playing very well. And the other interesting thing is there going to be any more shenanigans in this one? The last time around, we, of course, had the brouhaha where Kevin Love fouls Zion Williamson, kind of lays him gently to the ground. But for some reason, Najee Marshall and Jimmy Butler, they go, hands on throat, both of them, and all hell breaks loose. And Jimmy Butler ends up getting suspended for a game, and then Thomas Bryant ends up throwing hands with Jose Alvarado. They both get 3 games, and our poor, sweet little Nikola Jovic, who's a Serbian assassin, he goes in there and gets in the business, and he gets kicked out of the game and gets suspended for a game. And so you're wondering, is something else going to be a brewing here? Well, Jimmy Butler, he made some headway after that had happened, and he's like, listen, we're the better team. We're going to beat them anyway. Now, Pelicans have a better record, and they have been, they have been playing very good basketball of late. So this is what makes this one intriguing with what we got. But Jimmy Butler was asked about this in the last game, and, you probably figured, right, if you were asking, is Jimmy Butler going to stand by what he said in this one? Well, of course he was.
Forefront. I remember Jimmy Butler saying, you were in New Orleans, I remember Jimmy Butler saying, we'll beat them the next time too. Ready to stand by those words, or was that in the heat of the moment?
Of course, no. I don't go into any game saying we're going to lose, but we're finna get a dub. It's on our home floor anyways. We're going to be fine.
You put behind what happened with the suspensions, the ejections, and everything, and just get down to the business at hand, or is there a memory of the way it ended?
I mean, there is a freaking memory. I got fined a lot of money. That's my memory. I don't give a damn about tensions flaring and all of that, man. I got kids. I got diapers, baby food. You know, I'm talking about Jax. Like, that's crazy.
Like it was 20 years ago.
Man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's all I'm worried about, trying to get my bread back.
Well, I don't know if there's not like a bonus. It would be kind of cool though if that was the case in a brawl game where you could see if Jimmy Butler, because what did he lose in that? He probably lost like $400,000, something like that, for not playing in that game with the suspension fine, and then on top of missing a game check. So, yeah, it was a lot of money. It's a lot of money for anybody, even for the very rich, which Jimmy Butler is. Even as marketable as he is, nobody likes to lose that kind of money. So I would maybe we get some Jimmy Butler, like Rudy Gobert doing some money signs because he wants some payback from the Pelicans. Because the only thing that's going to be any type of currency for him is if he gets this win, and the Miami Heat are in position to continue to move up the standings. Right now, currently, as we're recording this, I believe all the Eastern Conference games are in. So let's get a little update. Yeah, the only game in action right now looks like it is Hawks and Suns. So we have the Magic. They handled the Pelicans tonight. Bucks, they beat the Nets. And the Knicks lost. The Knicks lost to the Nuggets 113-100. So that puts the standings right now. The Miami Heat are 38-31, a half game behind the Pacers. 3 back in the loss column of the New York Knicks and Orlando Magic. Magic are 4th right now at 42-28. So yeah, still some ground to make up. Definitely a very important stretch for Miami with this game. Cleveland, once again, who you just beat. So you get them again on Sunday. And if by some chance you can catch them, you're still a little bit ways back, but I believe that would put Miami having the tiebreaker on Cleveland. So that would be Sunday's obviously going to be a huge one. Warriors, of course, are always a fun show when they come to town. So that'll be look. This is a very, very important homestand for Miami. And then just in the regards of being better at home, Miami is only 17-15 at home this year. Being 2 games over 500. I mean, look, 21-16 is a very, very good road record for where they're at. But to be that pedestrian on their home floor is very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing with what they the talent that they have, and they're playing with a mess load of lineups. I mean, a record amount, 30, fine, but it is your building. You would like to have one of these games where everybody can kind of get hot. Now with no Duncan tomorrow, it'll be still an issue because you don't have a lot. When you don't have Duncan Robinson, you don't have Tyler Hero. You don't have a ton of shooting. Miami was great in this last game in that, they were getting performances and they got a really nice start in this game from 3 where, Jimmy hit one. You got a couple from Nikola Jovic. You got even Orlando Robinson getting into the action in this one. Nico was 4-10 from downtown. Terry Rozier was 5-6. So you got some guys who can shoot. They're just not maybe necessarily known as shooting specialists. There's nobody on this lineup you'd be like, man, you can maybe tonight he gets you 6 from downtown. There's nobody you could really point to, especially the way Patty Mills has been shooting since he's been on the Heat, and be like, oh, this guy can get electric, this guy can get hot tonight. So that is always going to be a challenge in these matchups because Miami maybe doesn't have that great equalizer, but it does tend to feel like it should be better at home. And you should be in a better place at home when these types of things happen. It's just, what can you count on with this team when it comes to it? But the good news is Bam being back in the fold after a maintenance game, Jimmy, Nico, all being back together with Terry. It does feel like, you definitely should have enough to get this one done. I think the backup bigs have been playing pretty well lately. Nothing has quite been what Kevin Love brought to the table, but I do have to give it up. Thomas Bryant has definitely brought a lot more to the table than at the point of the year where he wasn't even playing and Spo wasn't trusting him. you have to give him that type of credit with what he is, with what he's been bringing. Caleb Martin had a stinker this last time around. He has been playing electric, so I would expect Caleb Martin to have a bounce back game against the Pelicans. And then always the guy I'm very, curious is Jaime. Jaime I think is still the guy where like, all right, these inconsistencies, if Jaime has one of those games where he's hot and he's feeling it from the pain, and there's definitely been some semblance of a rookie wall or the league adjusting to him that he has to get past to be the guy that won conference rookie of the month the first 2 months of this season. But we've all seen it. We know that the kid is capable, and it is a challenge, I'm sure, because he doesn't have the ball in his hands as much and he's got to find his spots. But that's the other thing that has been the beauty about Jaime. They always talked about earlier on in the year is like that. Look, he doesn't necessarily need that. Those plays called for him. And you have seen when he gets the ball, he can bust down and he can attack at the rim and be aggressive, and that's what you love about him. So we'll see what's going. But with this matchup, but this is look, when you have a brouhaha, a melee that is hanging over it with a Jimmy Butler who is upset about his fine money. Look, this is a game where I would love Jimmy Butler to continue to come back and be that MVP. He came back in this first game after dealing with the foot injury and was an absolute menace. He was stealing the ball like crazy. He was, had one of those effective, there's so much talk about his free throws and was that issue? Okay, got to the line 7 times. Not necessarily his average, maybe a little bit under of what he's typically capable of, but it's right around there. It's not 3 free throws. It's not no free throws. It's something. That impact was there. And as everybody knows, this team goes as Jimmy goes. He is the heartbeat. He seems to have a more mature Bam Adebayo, has certainly shown in some big-time fourth quarters that he can be relied upon as being the guy for game winners, game-winning blocks, game-winning plays if he has a hot hand. But, it's tough to gauge all this stuff because the picture's not quite whole. But if you got your 2 lead dogs out there, you need to go get those wins. You have to. And that I think with those losses back with Dallas and OKC, the disappointing thing was, man, teams did a good job of taking out Jimmy and Bam from their comfort zone, and their stars shine while the Heat struggled. So definitely going to be an interesting one. I cannot wait to be boots on the ground for this one. Get your tree humping pants on and your glow sticks ready because it's Ultra Weekend.